Hi everyone, welcome to this week's garden update, and oh my goodness, it feels so good to be back. Sorry about my absence for the last couple of weeks. I just really wasn't well enough to be posting any videos. So some of you may have seen on the community section of YouTube, I put up a couple of posts to let you know that after 3 years, yeah, it's about 3 years now, isn't it, of avoiding COVID, it finally caught up with me and I came down with it a couple of weeks ago. But you know what? It's done, dusted now. I'm feeling so much better and I'm excited to show you around the garden today. So let's get into it now. Quite a bit has changed in the garden since I showed it to you a couple of weeks ago. A lot of the dahlias have begun to flower. I've started to harvest some of the summer crops like this Lebanese cucumber. What am I like? It's not a Lebanese cucumber, it's a Lebanese zucchini. Here's a Lebanese cucumber, that's what they look like. I'll give this to my youngest. He absolutely loves fresh cucumbers from the garden. The eggplants are covered in flowers. On this one over here, some of the flowers are beginning to die off, and I noticed, you can see in there, there's been pollination. There's just lots of food on the grow, but I have to show you the apple trees. Oh my goodness, absolutely dripping in fruit this year. Not sure why, maybe it was all the wet weather has just really helped. Oh, some of them are getting damaged. I'm gonna have to put the fruit protector bags on these. Oh yeah, but looks like it's gonna be a great harvest. I just grabbed a bunch of these fruit protector bags to show you what they look like. I purchased mine on eBay. They come in lots of different sizes. I prefer using these fruit protector bags over the very popular organza bags for a number of reasons, but here are 2 or 3 that I think are quite important. Well, I find from my years of using these bags, they seem to have better airflow than the organza bags. Purchasing these in bulk works out to be a lot cheaper than the organza bags, even if you buy them in bulk too. And if you think about it, these are the ones the professionals use to protect their fruit, so if it's good enough for them, I want to use them as well. They are so easy to put on. You just simply slip them over the branch like this and make sure you tie it nice and firm up here so that no insects can get in through the top. And you know what, I have used these for many years. You can use them on other fruit as well, like tomatoes, capsicums, chilies if you like. They seem to do the job, and oftentimes, you know, it's funny, I see the fruit flies trying to get in there to the juicy fruit, but they just cannot get through this fine mesh. You know, when these apple trees were much smaller, I didn't use those fruit protector bags. I used to net the entire tree, but that used to make me quite nervous because from speaking to people back then, I did hear a few sad stories where birds would get tangled up in the netting, especially if you didn't pull it tight enough. Now the thing is, I'm not going to be able to reach up to the apples at the very top of this tree. Oh my goodness, it's probably around 8 or 9 foot tall, but that's all right because the fruit at the very top can be sacrificed. The birds can enjoy that while we enjoy the many fruit on the lower branches. You know, I think it's important with organic gardening to, you know, just realize that it's a shared space, shared with the wildlife. They help us out so much managing pests, especially the birds eating little insects here and there. Why not give them a few fruit as a treat? I'm feeling a bit bad about this. I've really been neglecting the tomato plants. I mean, they have quite a lot of fruit on them. Whoops, not to worry, there's more in here. But you know, I haven't been tying them up. Maybe that's something I need to get done for next week. Do you remember a few weeks back I spoke to you about how you can propagate your tomato plants by removing side shoots, pinching them off or snipping them off with your secateurs, and then placing them in a glass of water for a couple of weeks, changing the water every few days, and then, well, here is the result. So I, with you a few weeks back, cut off this little side shoot. I've had it in some water and look what's happened. You see, it's covered in all of these lovely healthy roots. I have created a new tomato plant, and this is well ready now to either go into a small pot and leave it in there for a few weeks and then pop it out in the garden, or you can even just put this straight out into the garden as long as it's not too hot and you make sure you keep it well watered. I'd highly recommend that you give this a go. It's super easy and extremely satisfying creating a free plant. I think it's a really handy tip if you have a long growing season like I do. So here in this part of New South Wales, I can get my first lot of tomatoes in the ground, say in around September, October, and then if I want, I could put in a second succession of tomato plants the end of this month, very early January, and I'll be harvesting tomatoes by the end of summer from that second crop that I put in. So yeah, why not give it a go? It's always a bit of fun, bit of experimentation, and you can always, if you do too many of them and you get a bit carried away, you can always give them away to family and friends. One of the big changes to the garden is over here in this area. You can see where Snowflake is. I've actually cleared out a few patches here and there. So there's this one, I think in front of it too, and over in that section. I've cleared out some of the older early spring cut flowers and replaced them with some summer annuals. I need to get over there. Look at her, she's going to scratch them up. Come on Snowflake, not in this section. I know it's very tempting. This is where I had a big patch of snapdragons and they're all gone now. I've replaced them with a heap of these seedlings which are more status. So I've got some yellow and I believe the purple varieties. In front of them, in this area, it has now been planted out with some zinnias. There were the calendulas, the ivory princess in this section, but I pulled them out too. Oh, and I did put some feverfew over here around the coneflower plant. There are some very exciting things happening in this section that I haven't shown you yet. There are 4 new blooms that have made an appearance in this section. Let's go take a look at them now. This dahlia flower is very special. It does have quite a bit of damage on the petals. Oh look at it. There's a caterpillar in there causing all this damage, but that's all right. I'll share this flower with the caterpillar. I'm not going to use it in my flower arrangements, but the reason why I'm so excited about this bloom is because it has come from some saved dahlia seeds. The sun has decided to come out for a sec. Oh my goodness, it is so strong. What I was going to say is, remember a while back, in case some of you missed it, when you are growing dahlias from saved seeds, the blooms will not be identical to the mother plant, and that is due to cross-pollination. So if you want an identical flower to that mother plant dahlia, what you need to do is propagate some of the tuber. So grow it from the tuber and you will be given like a clone. Otherwise, you know, this is very exciting growing from seeds. You just don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes they don't look the best. The stems might be too short. The petal formation may not be very attractive, but I think that one there, I'm pretty pleased with it. The sweet peas are flowering. I haven't been keeping on top of deadheading them, so some of them have formed seed pods, which isn't ideal. You really want to continuously pick your sweet peas to encourage more blooms. Once you see the seed pods appear, you kind of end up slowing down the production of the flowers. One important point to make when growing sweet peas is be aware that the plant is poisonous. So those little seed pods are poisonous. You never ever eat them. What I always make sure to do here in my garden, especially, you know, having little kids who like to go and snack on the food that we grow, is to make sure that you grow your sweet pea plants far away from any edible peas, like for example snow peas. You just don't want to get those pods mixed up. You know, you don't want people eating the wrong seed pod. These lovely fluffy flowers are from the Sweet Williams. Remember, I had a patch of them here and then the chickens dug them out, and then I was left with 2 seedlings that managed to reach maturity, so now they are both flowering. And finally, this patch of Rebecca, this particular one is Indian Summer, they're beginning to flower, lots of buds on them, and you can see the petals there are getting a bit of colour on them. I was hoping that I'd be able to harvest some of these for this week's flower arrangements, but they're not quite ready yet. Here I've got the 2 buckets of flowers which I picked for this week's arrangements to be sold tomorrow. So I'm actually going to be selling these on Thursday instead of Friday, just to give, you know, myself that extra day, extra bit of time for anyone who's looking to purchase a bouquet over Christmas. There's lots of status, so I have this blue purple one, pink, white, and down here is some apricot. There's a bunch of zinnias, this pink achillea or yarrow, Verbena bonariensis, a big bunch of feverview, ageridum, fennel flowers, and then heaps of different types of dahlias. So I'm thinking of doing another one of these kind of pale pink yellow arrangements, and then I've got a lot of different orange pom-pom dahlias. This one here, I can't remember that one. This is the Purex, beautiful, very, very fluffy and pretty. There's another one here just opening up, and then I have a few shorter stemmed ones down here. One flower that hasn't turned out as expected are these chrysanthemums. It's quite unusual for them to be flowering this time of year. Usually here they flower in autumn, but for some reason my patch are flowering. It's probably because the weather's all over the place. But I only just harvested these last night, and a few of them are drooping quite badly. They don't seem to be hydrating very well, so unless these perk up I won't be able to use this amount. But this stem here still looks grand. Just spotted this little guy coming out of the Sugartown Sunrise Dahlia. I do try and give my flowers a little light shake as I'm picking them to, you know, disperse any insects that might be hiding amongst the petals, but it looks like this little guy managed to stick around. I'm going to head inside now with these 2 buckets, put together 4 arrangements, and I will show you what I came up with. It's a few hours later, and here are the 4 bunches. I nearly had a heart attack there thinking this is going to topple over, that I put together to drop off to Tarmore Garden Centre for tomorrow. So the last 4 bunches before Christmas, really colourful again, and as you can see a lot of dahlias, just really bright, cheery. That's kind of what I like when it comes to arrangements. I like just mixing up all the colours and hopefully putting a smile on some people's faces. I think I've been a little bit generous with the amount of flowers I put in this week's bouquets. Like this one has a bit more than usual. Oh well, a little Christmas present to all of my loyal customers. Well, we have come to the end of this week's garden update. Thanks so much for sticking around, watching all the way through. Remember, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you're a regular here, you know, always giving that thumbs up, leaving a comment, even maybe sharing with your friends. Really helps with the algorithm and helps with my channel. So I think I'm going to head off, but before I do, for any of you who celebrate this holiday, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and I will see you all again next Friday.